of the glass is the only sound. From the grace of the speed to the crushing weight, in the blink of an eye, we decide our fate. The ice is a battle where the iron reigns. We're breaking the surface and we're breaking chains. Brace for the impact, cross the line. The neutral zone is roaring through the night. Sports radio, ice in our veins. Adam, Karnik, and Freddie B holding the reins. We follow the hunt for the silver cup, where the minor league hungry are stepping up. The college ice is burning in the freeze, and the women of the league bringing giants to their knees. The juniors, the legends, the global stage. We're writing the story on a frozen page. The lamp lights up, red in the winter air. The speed and the power are waiting there. Drop the puck. Brace for the impact, cross the line. The neutral zone is roaring through the night. Sports radio, ice in our veins. Adam, Karnik, and Freddie B holding the reins. The neutral zone.
And welcome on into the neutral zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am Adam Karnik. He is Freddie B. Together, we are the neutral zone. So glad that you are here with us. Got a lot to go over on the show here tonight.
Yes, sir.
Gonna be starting things off tonight in the PWHL, where we've got a new champion. The Montreal Victoire have won the Walter Cup 4-0 over the Ottawa Charge here tonight. This game it was super close for a long time.
Yep.
And then it got blown open very, very late in the proceedings.
Yeah, Adam, it was a 1-0 game halfway through the third period until Abby Roque, got that shorthanded goal, put them up 2-0, ended the game with a couple of goals as well by Maggie Flaherty and then Lena Lundblom. Outstanding game for Montreal. Canada gets their championship, their hockey championship, and it comes in the form of the Montreal Victoire, 3-1. And that was a really exciting Walter Cup. Ottawa made this a series. I didn't think it was going to be very close. The first couple of games so tight. Game 3 was a great game. But Montreal, being the number 1 team in the league, proved their worth tonight in clinching this championship. Congratulations to the women up in Montreal.
Yeah, Abby Roque got the cup-winning goal in the second period and got effectively the one that ended it all by getting the second goal in the third period. After that, Ottawa had to go with the empty net. Let's give some credit and props, though, also to Anne-Renee Desbiens. 23 saves in getting the shutout tonight, getting the job done. She had an outstanding playoffs, not just this series against Ottawa, but also in the series against Minnesota. Minnesota was the highest scoring team in the entire PWHL, and she kept the Frost in check. She started every single game of these playoffs for Montreal, all 5 in the semifinal, and then also all 4 in the Walter Cup final. Without Anne-Renee Desbiens, the Victoire do not win the Walter Cup this year.
No, I mean, outside of the game 1, when she gave up 5 goals to Minnesota, she really only gave up 6 goals the remaining 9 games that Montreal played in, or I'm sorry, 8 games that Montreal played in this tournament. Outstanding net minding, picking up the shutout tonight, 2 shutouts overall. What can you say about here and her play and net, and just this whole postseason for the PWHL and how great it was. I think every game in both rounds were just fantastic, Adam. And then we ended up, ultimately a game 7, I think would have been for everybody's liking, but Montreal just came away on top tonight. Outstanding play. They really dictated the entire game, and congratulations on them. They can now move on and hoist that Walter Cup.
Indeed. It's the first time, obviously it's the first time that anybody other than Minnesota, it's the first time anybody other than the Minnesota Frost have won the PWHL here in its 3rd season. It's the first time that these are the first times that the higher seed won any series at all in the PWHL. Montreal came in as the number 1 seed. The number 1 seed hadn't even so much as won a series yet in PWHL history. And now Montreal able to use that number 1 seed, pick its opponent for the first round. They chose Minnesota. They wanted to have the All Canada final. They got it. They got that matchup that they wanted, and they were able to finish the job, defeating Ottawa in 4 games and hoisting the Walter Cup. First
professional, hockey championship for Montreal since 92-93 when the Canadiens had won. In between, the Montreal Alouettes had won 5 Grey Cups in that span, so they were winning championships up there. In Montreal. So they finally, are champions again. And as we get into the NHL later on, Montreal Canadiens in the Eastern Conference Finals, this is a really good time north of the border right now.
Yep. So some stats from this game 4 as we get you here. Of course, Abby Roque, she had the 2 goals, the game-winning goal and the game-sealing goal as well. You brought up Lena Lundblom with a goal in there. Marie-Philippe Poulin, she had an assist tonight. Dara Grieg, also an assist. Laura Stacey, an assist. And Montreal really was not able to get very many sustained offensive chances until very late in that 3rd period. They only mustered 4 shots on net in the entire 3rd period. 3 of those were with the empty cage. So only 1 shot,
Yeah, they were holding off Ottawa's charge, so to speak, right?
Right, exactly.
In that 3rd period. And that one just laid up there for me. They set back. They played more defensive. Didn't really need the shots on goals. They got them when they mattered. Got that second goal by Rourke that ended up being the dagger in the long run before the 2 goals later. But they held on. They won. Ottawa gave it a fight. We didn't expect that, being a 4 seed, given Montreal that tough of a matchup. But congratulations to both Montreal and Ottawa for getting to the Walter Cup final. And now, Adam, the championship for 2026 is over. We've got the news of expansion coming for next season and a new team included. I think we'll get to later on in the show as well. We'll talk about all of what's to come in the PWHL going forward.
Yeah, we've got the expected expansion news as they went to their 12th team. We'll get into that a little bit more. We'll also talk how the league might line itself up for next season. But for now, the Montreal Victoire, they get their first ever PWHL championship. For Ottawa, this is gonna be a tough loss for the Charge as well. Back-to-back years of making it to the Cup final and coming up short, losing in 4 games, both to Minnesota and then to their fellow countrywomen, Montreal, this year in 4 games. Gwyneth Phillips had a decent series for herself. Not the best of nights tonight statistically, but nothing to hang her hat there. But the Montreal Victoire are victorious, winning in Ottawa to clinch the Walter Cup final, their first ever Walter Cup championship. So congratulations to Montreal. Job very, very well done. And might they be joined by their fellow countrymen, fellow Montreal citizens, the Montreal Canadiens, as we'll use that to shuffle our way over now to the NHL. The Canadiens, we weren't even sure if they were going to make it to the Eastern Conference Final. They needed all 7 games against Buffalo before ultimately getting there and getting the job done. Before we dive into the conference finals and kind of preview those series a little bit, as Vegas and Colorado is technically underway already, but it's game 1. We can still preview it a little bit. Let's take a look at that Montreal Buffalo series just a little bit. 7 games, second 7-game series of these playoffs for the Canadiens. The road teams seemed to have the advantage in this series the whole way.
Yeah, it's crazy. Montreal, they have yet to lose back-to-back games in the Stanley Cup playoffs so far. They've won 2 Game 7s. Alex Newhook scoring both Game 7 game winners. This latest one in OT against Buffalo. That was an awesome game. Buffalo really, I think, dominated games 6 and 7. They won game 6 to force it back to Buffalo in game 7. And I think they controlled most of the game in game 7. But Montreal just got the timely goals. And, the play that ultimately led to the game-winning goal, Buffalo was bringing it in across the blue line offensively, bobble the puck, lose possession. Turns out to be a 3-on-2 going the other way. And Newhook kind of just peels back, leading the puck across the blue line, snapped a wrister on net, and it ended up beating UPL. No deflections, had a little bit of traffic in front, so it may have been difficult to see the puck as it slid by. But what can you say about the Canadiens? This feisty young group has really surprised a lot. No surprise that they were going to be a playoff team, but to be playing now in the Eastern Conference Championship, I don't think a lot of people had that on the radar.
No, you said young. Young is absolutely the right word. Not even if you're 26 years old on this team, you are above average as far as age is concerned. The average age of this team is just under 26 years old.
Yeah.
These are kids. These are kids out there, and they are getting the job done. They continue to. I love the stat that you brought up of they haven't lost twice in a row. That is the sign of a mature team. That is a sign of a team that has strong leadership and knows what it needs to do on a night in, night out basis. Hey, you're not going to run the table in the Stanley Cup Finals. Apologies to the Carolina Hurricanes, who, as we get into the preview a little bit, they'll have something to say about that. But generally, you don't go undefeated all the way through the playoffs. You're going to lose games. The thing is, you can't let one snowball into 2, snowball into 3, and suddenly you're knocking on death's door, so to speak, in the series. The Canadiens have done a tremendous job of put a loss behind them, regroup, and make sure they get out there the following night and not let it turn into 2. And they're doing it with unexpected play in goal too.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up Jakub Dobeš. I mean, he had a really bad game 6, giving up, I think it was 7 goals in that game. And I kind of thought, what's Montreal going to do going into game 7? I didn't think they were in a position to make a change in net. And I'm glad that they stuck with him. He has really risen to the occasion. Like we said, Adam, they haven't lost 2 games in a row yet. So he's done what he's had to do. He's held up his end of the bargain in net for Montreal. They're getting, it wasn't Suzuki and Caulfield really leading the way in this round. They got a lot of secondary and tertiary scoring from guys that needed to step up. And in order to succeed and move on in the Stanley Cup Finals and in the playoffs, you have to get production from lines 2, 3, and then have your fourth liners grind stuff out. And that's what Montreal is doing. Buffalo didn't, they got a little bit of production, but where was Alex Tuck in this? He was nowhere to be found. Had he scored a goal early in this series, I think things may have been different for Buffalo, but he was just snake bitten. And, without any production really from him, Tage, a little bit here and there, but I just, Buffalo just, I wanted them. I was rooting for them because this was something incredible. This run that they had this entire season, the hottest team, the last 4 months of the season, just to get to this point, second best record in the Eastern Conference. And we're talking about them being 1 goal away from playing in the Eastern Conference final. But yeah, they've got a bright future. I think in Buffalo, they've got some questions to be answered with the roster and some of the guys with their term and stuff like that. Could some guys be on their way out? They just re-signed Lindy Ruff for another 2 years, so he'll be behind the bench coaching this team. And I think the guys are pretty responsive to him. So we'll see what they have going forward. They had the inconsistencies, the goalie carousel. Neither goalie can really, steal the game that they needed to steal. They gave up a lot of goals, but that's expected. I didn't expect Buffalo to be here. Adam S., a huge Buffalo Sabres fan. I guarantee you he did not expect him to be there, but it's the curse of Buffalo. We've seen it with the Buffalo Bills, with the 4 Super Bowl losses. And then just, recently over the last few years with Josh Allen and their potential to be a Super Bowl caliber team and not getting to that point. It's frustrating to be a Buffalo fan for sure.
And especially the way Game 6 went,
I think that would carry over, right?
That Game 6, that was such a roller coaster of a game. Montreal got off to the lightning start there in that game, and then Buffalo able to overcome that and turn through that to come home. And then it doesn't carry over into, all right, guys, it's Game 7. We can get the job done. I like the Lindy Ruff extension. I think that's the right move for Buffalo at this time. Tuck, he did himself absolutely zero favors in when the spotlight was the brightest. He shrank.
He did.
He had as many points in that 7-game series as you and I did watching from home on our couches and talking here on our microphones. And that's, you cannot have, there's no way to state how poor that is for you, that you cannot disappear in a moment like that. And I don't feel like it was because Montreal was doing such a great job of defending him either. He just disappeared in that series for Buffalo, and you can't have that. You got to have your guys show up.
Yeah, but on the bright side for Buffalo, though, we saw guys like Zach Benson really making their mark with this team. A gritty guy, 5 goals. Consta Helenis, a rookie getting minutes. He's scoring big goals as well. The future's bright. Jack Quinn, Josh Doan, they've got the pieces, I think. And now I think they could be a buyer this offseason. And we'll see what Buffalo can do going forward. Again, I didn't expect them to get to this point, but props on them for getting there. But in Montreal, they're they're a hard team to play, and they're going to be playing a very well rested Carolina Hurricanes team that's had almost 2 weeks off from action when, sweeping Philadelphia, 13 days ago.
Yeah, so let's get into that. That's the perfect segue. Let's get into now the conference finals preview a little bit here. We've got the Hurricanes and the Canadiens. The obvious that comes to me, this is going to be the ultimate in rest versus rust conversation that you're going to get. The Montreal Canadiens come in having played 14 games to get to this point, 8-6 in these playoffs, the maximum number of games you could possibly play. And meanwhile, the Hurricanes come in, they haven't played in 2 weeks. They've been having to just scrimmage against themselves and practice. It is 2 weeks since they have played any kind of competitive, it means something hockey. And now you've got to turn it back on. Yes, they're home. Yes, they haven't had to travel. They've gotten to sleep in their own beds. Are there any excuses for the Hurricanes to getting off to a slow start in this series?
I would almost think it would be expected if they do come out a little flat just because of the layoff, but that cannot be an excuse. You've got to be ready to play. This is the biggest moment for them right here. This is their chance to avenge some demons and get to the Stanley Cup final. The cup has been eluding them. Getting to the final has been eluding them for a very long time. And I think this is the right year to do it. I actually think the layoff is going to be beneficial to them. Montreal, on the other hand, has played 14 games, like you mentioned, Adam. They've played every game they played has been almost the same style of game, nail biting. I don't know how many overtimes that they've played so far. I think like 7 overtime games or 8 overtime games in total. All the extra minutes. But again, I mean, they could we talked about it last week, rest versus rust. They could keep riding this momentum and carry it into Carolina and say, you know what, let's just keep going, boys. Now we're going to knock off another top team in the league here. We knocked off Tampa Bay, 106 points. We knocked off Buffalo, I think, with 109. And now we're going to knock off the Eastern Conference champions, Carolina Hurricanes. That's how Montreal has to think about going into this tournament. The rest could cause rust in Freddie Anderson. We've said he's been, the potential for Conn Smythe at this point, the MVP leading so far. I think, with his stellar play in net, I think he can continue it. But again, I don't know. The puck drops tomorrow. We'll find out. We'll get all the answers. Carolina is a deep team. Montreal's a very deep team too. Carolina just plays that suffocating style. I think it's going to aggravate Montreal a little bit. And that the physicality, I think their defense is going to step it up. I predicted the series to go 5 games in favor of Carolina, but the way Montreal has played, you cannot count them out, and they could go to another game 7. Who knows?
Yeah. The Hurricanes have yet to lose a game in these playoffs.
Yeah.
It is I still say it's impossible to predict a sweep. Should the Hurricanes get off if the Hurricanes win game 1, they would tie the Edmonton Oilers for the best start in a playoffs possible, winning your first 9 games. So if they take the first 2, they make an argument that they're the best team in playoff history. Of course, you still got to win the cup to do that, but you lay the foundation for that argument. For this series specifically, where I struggle when I'm looking at this is, how does Montreal, even though the Canadiens didn't lose a game against Carolina this season, they were a perfect 3-0-0 against them this season. If I'm Montreal, I need to figure out, how do I solve the puck possession? Carolina just doesn't give up the puck. They live in the offensive zone. They limit you to down and back. You get one chance at getting the puck past Freddie Anderson, and then we're taking it back, and we're going to hold it down there for 40 seconds, a minute 20. That takes a toll on your defense, not just your blue liners, but even your forwards too, as they have to play defense and defend all that.
Yep.
How do you beat that if you're Montreal? That's the question I have for the Canadiens. They're going to have to be, I think they're going to have to be aggressive on the forecheck. They just, when they do have the puck, they're going to have to be almost hyper aggressive in keeping it and getting rebounds, getting extra shots.
The stats that scare me the most in favor of Carolina is that Taylor Hall is leading the team in points right now with 12 points. Jackson Blake in second with 11. Logan Stankoven, 7 goals, leading the team. And then you've got guys like Aho, Jarvis, Ehlers with 4 points each. Svechnikov only 3 points in the 8 games. Those guys have yet to catch fire. That's a problem if they start playing the way that they're capable of. And I think if they can, then this can be a short series, and Carolina could be moving on.
Yeah, if Carolina were losing games, you'd say, "Gosh, where's Aho? Where's the top of this? You've got to have your top lines, just like we were talking about with Tuck with Buffalo." But the fact is, they're 8-0 to this point, and they're in the Eastern Conference Final, and they've been doing it without their top lines. You add the top of the rotation, the top 6 forwards into the mix here for Carolina. If they wake up, if they're able to start scoring, this could be a ridiculously short series. Absolutely. Again, I hate to predict a sweep, but I would, if those guys get going, this could be very short. We could be talking 4 games and Carolina's sitting there waiting for whomever comes out of the West.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I think the Montreal-Tampa Bay series was the best series in round 1. I thought the Montreal-Buffalo series was the best in round 2, and I'm expecting this to be another great series as well. And we'll see tomorrow, and then next week, we'll have a little bit more, to see how this plays out a little bit. We'll have some more games played. The series won't be over by next week, but we'll have plenty to talk about as the series goes on. But I think Carolina, those guys will start stepping up. The big guns will produce. And I think this will be a short series. I don't think it will be a sweep, but hey, it'd be freaking awesome if it is.
Oh,
right? We're witnessing history.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Montreal, what's another 7-game series? We've already done 2. What's another? What's with one more? And to take down Carolina, if Montreal does take game 1, game 2 will then be fascinating to see, because it'll be Carolina hasn't gotten punched in the mouth yet. Freddie Anderson hasn't given up more than 2 goals in a single game in these playoffs yet. He's just been outstanding, top of his game. The closest best goalie in these playoffs.
The closest Carolina ever came to losing a game was being down 2-0 in game 3 against Philadelphia, and then they ended up coming back, tying the game, and winning it in overtime. That's the closest that their backs have been against the wall to just lose a game, let alone be, playing any elimination type games on the losing side. So I think Carolina, Brendan Moore's going to have their guys going. We got Marty St. Louis coaching on the other bench, 2 Stanley Cup winning players. And it's going to be a great series. I cannot wait for this one. And I'm glad that this series, because I think this one is going to be the more exciting series of the 2, is on TNT, because I believe TNT has the better broadcast, the better announcers. Everything is just going to be better. I think they're going to do a fantastic job with this series going forward.
Absolutely. Hey, you never have to twist my arm to get me to listen to Eddie Olczyk. Listening to he and Pat Foley for all those years do Blackhawks games, and then getting to listen to Eddie, he's just as good on the national
Oh, for
games
sure.
as he is when he's calling a local game. Yes. So yeah, you never have to ask me twice to listen to that broadcast. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So now let's go over and let's preview the West. A little unfair because we've already got a game in, one game in progress already. It is not going how I thought it would. Las Vegas right now taking it to Colorado, winning 3-1. Right now, it is in the third period. We've got, how much time do we have?
9 minutes
left?
to go.
Nine minutes left. Thank you. 9 minutes left in regulation. Colorado got here by surviving the upstart Anaheim Ducks.
Vegas.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did I say? Colorado? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Vegas. Yeah. Vegas survived the Anaheim Ducks in getting here to this point. Job well done by Anaheim. That was still outstanding there.
Yeah.
By them. Nothing to hang their hat on. That series just, it got too long. It got too late. You just couldn't keep going there.
Yep.
And then, of course, Colorado gets here by taking care of the Minnesota Wild in 5.
Yeah.
When last we saw the Colorado Avalanche, they were trailing Minnesota 3-0, and it was, okay, I guess
Right.
we are going to see 6 games in this series. Not so fast.
As soon as we ended that show, Adam, it was they dominated and ended up winning that game. That was crazy. It seems like it's happened a few times this year when we've followed games in progress. Yeah, like you mentioned, especially and tonight too. Game 1 of this series, there was no Cale Makar playing for Colorado tonight as he is injured. So that was a question mark coming in. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a factor missing Makar tonight. But and offensively, they just haven't put the puck in the net. They're out shooting Vegas right now, 30-25. Carter Hart with 29 saves. They got the great, early goals, Dylan Coughlin, and then Pavel Dorofeyev on the power play, his 10th of the playoffs already. You talk about a guy who's on fire, 10 goals leading in the playoffs right now. And then Brett Howden, they were up 3-0 early in the third until Valerie Nishushkin finally scored for Colorado here. 8 minutes to go. This is going to be a big win for Vegas to steal game 1.
Yeah, and to steal it in Colorado too. First game in, and you're already flipping the home ice advantage. That's always the goal of the road team when you're starting these best of 7s. Is look, it doesn't matter if you take game 1 or game 2. The object is take one of them. But if you take game 1, all the pressure is off of you for game 2. It's look, you can go out there and have the worst game of your life in game 2, and it doesn't hurt anything. Does it feel with Vegas getting tested by Anaheim last round, and not that Colorado didn't get tested. Sorry, as I've got something in my throat there. How quickly can I hit the mute button? Not that the Avalanche didn't get tested by Minnesota. Minnesota put up a fight. Colorado just showed why it has the pedigree. With Vegas getting tested a little bit more than I think they expected to in the second round, does that help them or hurt them now against Colorado?
Well, everybody's going to make the argument that they got the easier route to the conference final by having to play Utah and then Anaheim. Both being in the playoffs for the first time in a very long time. Vegas had a lot of question marks coming into the playoffs. They had to ride a hot streak just to get in and win the Pacific Division. They're starting to put things together. I mean, Eichel, does not have a point tonight, so Colorado's kept him off the score sheet so far. I saw as that Anaheim series progressed that this is the Vegas team that I was expecting this season. Mitch Marner, doing his thing, getting contributions. They're getting really good goaltending in Carter Hart. We cannot stop talking about, how well that he is playing in net. And tonight, let alone, he's going to make over 30 saves and get this victory if they can hold on the next 6 minutes. Yeah, I say Vegas was tested. Anaheim put up a fight because they really didn't have Anaheim plays just an up and down style of game, no real structure to it. And they had some obstacles to overcome. They had some deficits that they had to come back from as well. I think it helped Vegas. And we saw them starting to play the way that they were. The Makar thing, that kind of worries me. Will he be back for game 2? I think if he's playing on one leg or one hand, he's going to be in the lineup. But they've got they need to step it up here. I mean, Nathan McKinnon only 2 shots tonight so far. He's going to have to start throwing the puck on net. I don't know why, his production, hasn't really been there tonight. But we'll see. You don't want to ever go down in a series to start it. But the fact that Colorado, is the President's Trophy team, the best team all season long, I expect them to come back out and take game 2. But at the same token, I would not be surprised if Vegas just plays a tight series against Colorado. They seem to be the type of team that's like their kryptonite, I think.
Yeah, they played 3 times in the regular season, and each team got 3 points off of the other. They both went 1-1-1 against each other. 2 of those games, though, were before the new year. They were played back in 2025. The first one was back in October. So I look at that. It's hard for me to put too much weight into how they did in the regular season. Both teams, that first game, my gosh, that was when Colorado could literally do nothing wrong. They were just off to the most incredible start we've seen in a full 82-game season in a long time. And then they did play recently in April, but by then things were kind of sewn up by that point. So it's hard to gauge the regular season games. I think with the Makar thing, with Cale Makar, he's seeing this game tonight. He is going to have to be on death's door to not go out there for game 2 at this point. Yeah, he's seeing what's happening, and he's all right. Get me out there. If you have to strap something to my leg to stabilize it, you are going to have to keep me from being out there for game 2. The guys absolutely need me at this point. We cannot we cannot possibly lose this series. So I think that's going to be Makar's
game 2 is critical. Colorado does not want to go down 2-0 and heading this series back to Vegas, in T-Mobile Arena. Those the fans there. I saw a stat, and I totally agree with it, that Vegas is the most hated team in North America amongst North American NHL fans. Do you agree with that, Adam?
I
mean, maybe not so much, but here on the West Coast, I know Kings fans don't like him. I know Ducks fans don't like him. I know other teams don't like him in the Western Conference here. You don't see him as much. They really don't make an impact as much with Chicago, but
no,
that was a cool graphic that I saw, and I totally agree with it. They're probably the most annoying fan base in sports.
I think some of that is everything's a party in Vegas. Yay! we know you're coming. Come on, let's have some fun. Let's bring it. And everybody else wants to come in and be serious, and you wind up in Vegas, and you cannot be serious in Vegas. It is almost impossible to be serious while you're in Vegas, while they're lighting the ice on fire, and they're having they're bringing out the archers there, and all the festivities that they do pregame there in Vegas. You're in for a good time while you're there. So I think that's where some of that comes from. So it would not surprise me at all that they're with amongst the Pacific Division. It would not shock me at all that they're the most hated team. That's hey, that's gonna happen. That's gonna be for me. That still comes like the Nashville Predator fans are ones like that for me, because the Predators for years would do a thing where for Blackhawks games, you have an outside of the state of Tennessee address. You suddenly can't buy tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't want Hawks fans in there? Then maybe you should just buy them yourself. But here are all these tickets. These are the only games you sell out. So, that's a different thing for me. But that gets way off topic at that point. So
Oh.
Vegas holding on right now 3-1, under 6 minutes to go in regulation there. So it looks like the Golden Knights are going to shock the Avalanche. They've only lost once in these playoffs. We talk about how Carolina's been perfect. Colorado's not been that far behind them, only losing once against Minnesota. Otherwise, 8 wins in the other 8 games in these playoffs. This is going to be the first time they'll get punched in the mouth. We'll see how they respond.
The test will be game 2, whether or not they come out and take a lead, or if they fall behind, how are they going to handle, falling behind game 2? If Vegas comes out to a 1 or 2-0 lead early, where, everybody is going to start thinking, oh shoot, this. And then Colorado starts pressing. When that's what happens. It gets psychological at that point. Like, what the heck is going on? We're not used to this. Colorado's just got to, get back to their game. And I think that they will. But what I didn't expect it to be a short series. I thought Colorado was going to win in 6. It's still a possibility. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, huge props to Vegas, 3.5 minutes away from closing out game 1.
Yeah. And Colorado trying to be the first President's Trophy winner to win the Cup in, almost 2 decades. We're talking, it's been 13 years since that's happened. And even longer still since it's happened in a full 82 game season. We're talking more like 20, over 20 years since it's happened in a full on 82 game season. They're going to start to feel that pressure, especially going into game 2 here on Friday night. That's going to be, they're not done yet tonight. We've seen the Avalanche score quickly this season. There's no reason they can't force overtime and come back and take this game, but certainly things aren't looking that way right now. Let's take for ourselves a quick break. We've got some news throughout the hockey world to get to, and we've got expansion in the PWHL, and we've got the Worlds going on. Men's Worlds are going on. Freddie will get us caught up on that. This is the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the show. This is the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am Karnik. He is Freddie B. Welcome back on in. So let's get into some news and notes here. That portion of the show had a lot of previewing of the conference finals. We also celebrated Montreal winning its first ever Walter Cup final in the PWHL. But we got some news and notes throughout the hockey world as well. Freddie, let's stay in the NHL for just a minute. We talked about Lindy Ruff getting a contract extension. Meanwhile, out in Vancouver, we've got a head coach vacancy now, as the Canucks have decided to let go of head coach Adam Foote. It was I don't know if it was a massive shock, as Vancouver was just the bottom of the NHL seemingly all season long. He went 25, 49, and 8 in his only season with the club, hired in the offseason after Rick Tocchet stepped down.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't an easy decision. It felt like an easy decision to me.
I mean, Adam Foote, he was how would they say it, like a stepping stone or something, just to pave the way until they can get the right person in there. I think it is what it was. Ryan Johnson, the GM now in Vancouver, they changed their front office around. They bring in both the Sedin twins to help run the organization now as well. They do have that coaching vacancy. They do have a high draft pick. That kind of gives, some optimism into this Vancouver team. Vancouver, and I talked about it leading to the end of the season, they were one of the best teams. They were a very dangerous team, beating high caliber playoff teams, playing spoiler role. A lot of the youth stepping up. They've got some contracts that they can deal with, maybe move on from some people. I would really like to see, and this is my guess, I put this out on Twitter yesterday when I heard the word of Adam Foote being let go, is bring in Manny Malhotra to coach the team. They've got the 3rd pick overall. Now there's talks about them, maybe possibly in trade talks, swapping picks with the Blackhawks. But what if they brought in Manny Malhotra to coach the team and then draft Caleb Malhotra to, with their 1st pick? I think that would be awesome. I think Canadian fans up in British Columbia are going to be ecstatic about that. There's also some other coaches still out there, Craig Berube, Bruce Cassidy. Who knows where they're going to go? But I was just throwing that out there. How cool would it be to have a father-son combination? We haven't seen that in quite a while. Actually, it was last year or the year before, Rod Brindamore and his son in Carolina. And then we've seen it a few times in the league with fathers coaching their sons on the same team. But I would like to see that. Adam, I don't know if you have any ideas on which way Vancouver goes, but I wish that the Kings would do this with their organization. They needed to rebuild from the top down, and that's what Vancouver is doing. They've got some good youth. They've got stockpile of picks. Before this year, you know, may not be the year for them to make huge strides and gains and, you know, become a playoff team. But within the next 2 to 3 years, though, Vancouver is going to be right back atop in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, absolutely. It's they're only 2 years removed from winning the Pacific. Adam Foote was absolutely a placeholder. You know, he was never going to be the long-term solution there. So I wasn't surprised at all. They said the right things. Oh, this was a hard decision to make, and no, this was the plan all along, and that's okay. They realized what they had to do. They did it. They executed the plan such as it was, and now they're in a position to try to take multiple steps forward after taking a step back. Not surprised by it at all. I haven't dug too deep into who to see there as a head coach. A father-son tandem would make for a really cool story, absolutely. Ultimately, though, I think the Canucks, you've got to do your due diligence and make sure you're not just going for the right story, you're getting the right fit. You know, that you wind up with the right guy there.
Yeah. There's there's a couple other teams that are still, you know, looking. Toronto's looking for a head coach. The Kings haven't made a decision on what they're doing for head coach right now. So
the Oilers are suddenly looking for a head coach.
The Oilers being another one. So that's 4 teams right now. All of them in the, 3 of the 4 in the Pacific Division looking for head coaches. They're going to be fighting for them. And right now it seems like Vegas is holding on to Bruce Cassidy and preventing him from interviewing with a few of the other teams.
At the very least, yeah, it's working. That massive late season switch seems to be working for him. So certainly a situation certainly a story to keep an eye on as we get into the postseason portion. You know, we get into the off-season portion of the calendar. Another place where we're starting to get where we can now officially be in the off-season is back in the PWHL. The Montreal Victoire, we talked about at the top of the show. They won the Walter Cup. Congratulations to them. The PWHL has been busy this season, not just with the playoffs and the expanded schedule and all that. They have been expanding the league. We thought we were going to see 4 teams. It is now official. We have 4 new teams in the PWHL for next season. San Jose became the 12th.
Yeah.
This one and Vegas were both kind of surprising to me, how they just kind of popped up seemingly at the last second. But the PWHL made it a point. It wanted to get into California. It wasn't ready to get in. Either LA wasn't ready for them or they weren't ready for LA. They had targeted San Jose specifically, and now they've got a team there. Now it'll be the 12th one. They're in California.
I said on last week's show, Adam, I think San Jose was going to get the team. They did, because they want to build an Eastern and Western conference now, and now they have the teams. Denver is going to be another team coming soon down the pipeline as well. Maybe another 2 years before I think the league expands. But now you have Vegas and San Jose to go with Vancouver and Seattle. They can start, and Calgary. They have that.
Well, they haven't gotten Calgary
I'm sorry,
yet.
Not Calgary. But they have those teams that they can start building, and making a Western conference. And I said that San Jose would be that 12th team. I also said that they would be orange. I think there was yet to be a team that had orange in their uniform, and it looks like they're going to go with an orange and blue tandem there. I thought, I like it when the teams generally have the same color schemes as their counterparts. Like it could have been like a teal and silver or something like that, similar to the Sharks, but an orange and blue, has that California kind of a vibe to it. I'm digging it, and I'm glad that the league has moved on. Now we've got 12 teams, and it's exciting. The league has grown. We just saw a tremendous season end tonight, but we've got the draft coming up next month, in which we'll be doing a little bit of a preview in the next couple of weeks for that. But Adam, yeah, the PWHL is moving westward now, officially in San Jose.
Yeah. So, and now that we've hit the end of expansion now, certainly for this go round, and it's going to be at least 2 years before the league expands again. They have said they have no plans on expanding next season. What do we think of the process so far that they've shown? So we wound up now, we know who the cities are, we know what the teams are. We're adding Detroit, we're adding Hamilton, we're adding Vegas, and we're adding San Jose. What do we think overall of the cities they picked and the process they've gone through?
I don't know exactly, because they didn't have takeover tours on the West Coast, so I don't know exactly what how they decided upon these franchises. I don't know if it came down to bidding. I don't know if it just came down to demographically who's gonna succeed a little bit better. Maybe a team in San Jose, with the rise of the Sharks right now, get a women's team in there as the team on the NHL side is growing and becoming very popular again. Now's a perfect opportunity. I think that's great for San Jose. They could have two professional hockey franchises there. Vegas, that was the one that kind of threw a curveball to me. I wasn't really expecting that. There's also so much going on in Vegas, but I like to see how that goes. If they could roll some Knights fans into becoming Vegas fans or whatnot, I think it can do pretty well. Hamilton, yeah, we knew there was going to be one in Canada somewhere, but not an hour north of Toronto. We thought maybe it would be a little bit further in Halifax or Quebec or something like that. But yeah, I'm digging it. In Detroit, that's a perfect spot.
Oh, Detroit's of these four.
I think
Detroit,
it's perfect.
Slam dunk. That's the perfect. Oh yeah, that one was everything you could have hoped it would have been and more. The other three are a little surprising to me. It was interesting. I was reading an article in the Hockey News earlier today, specifically about the Takeover Tour. The league had said the Takeover Tour wasn't necessarily about trying to find expansion locations. It was always about trying to bring the league to where there weren't teams, to where there might be fans but not teams, so that they could grow the game and still garner an interest. It wasn't necessarily about trying to find homes for future teams. And so even though you had unbelievable success in Washington, D.C., they had over 17,000 people there. D.C. was never realistically an option because they couldn't make a venue work. There was another city that very quickly dropped out of the running because there's just too many teams already playing. I think it was Calgary. It was Calgary. Almost instantly dropped out of the running because it was, look, we've got an NHL team, we've got an AHL team, we've got an OHL team.
Yep.
And you're wanting to add, or a WHL team, and you're wanting to add a PWHL team.
Exactly.
We've only got the one rink, guys.
Here's the one thing with three of the teams, the U.S. teams here. Detroit's going to be playing at Little Caesars Arena, sharing the building with the Red Wings. We already talked about them expanding and adding locker rooms and all of that stuff. Vegas is going to play at T-Mobile or an outside arena, maybe in Henderson. And then you've got the San Jose team, which is already announced. So they're going to be playing at the SAP Center. So they're going to be playing where the Sharks play. This is fantastic. I love it. And I'm excited to see how it goes. I think now's the time to pump the brakes, though, on expansion. I think that's what they're doing, just to fill it out, because you don't want to oversaturate this league and have it fold because of too many teams and franchises not being able to, keep up.
Right.
Right. But the game is developing on the women's side. We saw just over the last few years, especially this last year, with college hockey, how popular it's become on the women's side. And then obviously, with the Olympics, Canada and USA just dominating year after year. It's great to see these women playing in professional sport now. Yeah.
One other quick note, and then we'll go over to Worlds. I did see a thought on how the league will line up for next season that I hadn't thought of, but I instantaneously fell in love with it.
Maybe
Instead of doing
3 team.
yes,
Okay.
instead of doing 2 conferences, because you've got Vancouver, Seattle, San Jose, and Vegas, but then next to Vegas, your next closest going to the east is Minnesota. You've got a lot of distance there. Instead of trying to do an east and a west, divide it into 3 divisions of 4.
Makes sense.
And then do it that way. I saw that and was just like, oh, well, duh. Yeah. Duh. Yes, do that. That's the way.
And if you want to expand on the playoffs, I don't know if they talked about that, Adam, is you could take the top 2 from each division and then the top 2 remaining best teams and make it an 8-team playoff.
Yeah, I think they would absolutely do an 8-team playoff, because then also whenever they do next expand, oh hey, look, we're already set up for an 8-team playoff. We don't have to reinvent the wheel here at that point. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, you have been keeping up with the Worlds tournament going on.
Sure have.
You've been able to keep up on all that. Get us up to date and up to speed on the IIHF Worlds.
Well, right now, the host country, Switzerland, is looking fantastic in this tournament. A perfect 4-0, 12 points, outscoring the competition 22-4. I really like this Swiss team. They've got some great players, Sven Adrigetto and Roman Yossi and Nino Niederreiter, and about the list goes on and on. These games have been fantastic. Again, when they're overseas, I get to see them early in the day here. They play, I think, at 8 a.m. and then 11 a.m. So I've been watching as many of the games as I can. It's a great tournament. USA, a big win today over Germany in shootout. They obviously don't have the same roster as what we saw in the Olympics. They did just get, Brady Tkachuk. No, not Brady. It was Matthew Tkachuk added to the team playing today. Yeah, it's a great tournament. It's up and running. Another cool thing that I like seeing is we're seeing Macklin Celebrini and Sidney Crosby playing together on the same Team Canada. They are so fun to watch. This tournament is great. A lot more countries involved than what we see in the Olympics. The Worlds is always a big showing, especially over in Europe. Maybe not so much in the U.S. I don't know how many people follow it to that extent, but yeah, it's a great tournament, and we're seeing some really good action right now in a lot of these games. We're seeing, like we said, some surprise countries. Switzerland leading Group A with Finland, Austria, and then USA in 4th. And in Group B, Czechia, Canada, Slovakia, and Norway in 4th right now. Even a better record than Sweden, which is kind of shocking. Sweden giving up a lot of goals. Norway getting really good play in net in the tournament. But Adam, do you follow the Worlds much, or have you been able to catch any of the games?
I have been able to catch none of it to this point. I feel bad too, because it started and was like, oh yeah, Worlds. That's right. We're at that time of the calendar too. So yeah. I have not been able to catch all of it at all. I will say though, shout out Nino Niederreiter. That is still my favorite all-time hockey name.
That's a great name. Yeah, that's Swiss. Let's think of that Swiss team. They have Timo Meyer and Nico Hischier. That's a force right now that they've got right there. I think they and Canada seem to be the 2 front runners. As we move on, we've got a few games left in pool play before we start getting to the later rounds and the elimination rounds. But it's just a great tournament. You see a lot of the youth, especially with like Team USA, a lot of the college kids making their marks right now. And yeah, it's just a fun tournament. We'll keep you up to date on all the action as it goes. But one thing I do like is they put a fantasy league together this year through IIHF website. So it's got me on the ball and keeping me focused every morning, or tonight I'm going to make my roster for tomorrow's games. And it's a lot of fun, just picking some of these guys and seeing how they're doing and then watching them play. as well. But yeah, it's a great tournament. Switzerland, the host country next year, it goes to Germany. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Canada, big game tomorrow. Crosby, Malkin. Let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's one of
This is Crosby, Malkin. Jesus.
That's
Macklin. Sorry, Crosby and Macklin, not Malkin. Jeez. It's been a long night, Adam, as you can see here.
It has been. We've talked a lot of hockey here tonight. Well, that is going to do it for our show here this evening. Some shout outs and thank yous, of course, to our sponsors, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Be sure to go to planetjerky.net, place your order, whatever your palate is, they've got something that'll suit your taste buds. I would personally recommend the volcanic jalapeno, delicious stuff, but you can go to Carolina Reaper, you can go with the more traditional, just sweet barbecue, whatever you want, you'll find something there to like. Thank you also to Vital Apparel, the brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Go to vitalapparel.com and then use the promo code IESR upon checkout, and you get 15% off of your order there. And of course, be sure to follow along with the station. We are on all the social media platforms. We are on Twitter. We are on YouTube at IE Sports Radio. This show is also available for you on Twitter. We are at IESR Neutral Zone. He is at Freddie B _sports. Yep. I am at Adam _Karnik. I've been tweeting out like crazy during the show. So hopefully you've been able to keep up with that. As I see, we've had over 120 people locked in and watching the show here tonight. Thank you to all of those. Thank you also to Larry B, the czar and overlord of IE Sports Radio. He's been having all kinds of fun. He put together the new intro song that we
what do you think about that, man? That was pretty cool.
That was pretty different. That was pretty cool. We'll be doing some tweaking and some different things with that. It is a little odd hearing my name being sung in lyric form there. We may have to have a discussion about that, but that's a topic for another time. He's also got something lined up for us here in the outro too, and we've got Vegas taking Game 1, 4-2. So an interesting final there. But Vegas, that's a huge way to start this Western Conference final. Punching Colorado straight in the mouth. We'll see on Friday night. How does Colorado get up off the mat?
Yeah, they got a late power play goal. Gabriel Landeskog made it 3-2 with about 2.5 minutes to go, and then Nick Dowd seals the deal with an empty netter. So Vegas takes Game 1, goes into Vancouver, quietly comes away with a 1-0 victory. We'll see what happens here. Again, tomorrow, Game 1, Eastern Conference. Let's see if Carolina can rise to the challenge after being off for so long. And what does Montreal still have left in the tank? Excellent series yet to come.
Absolutely. Next week, we'll still be breaking down the conference championships. We'll take a look at Worlds. And we'll see what other fun things pop up along the way then, too. Until then, everybody have a fantastic week and enjoy the music. For IE Sports Radio, he is Freddie B. I am Adam Karnik. Together, we are the Neutral Zone. Enjoy the music. Have a great week, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Neutral zone is ready killers roll